Like to call the meeting to order at 7:06 by the clock on the wall, which is actually says 6 of it. It's 7:06. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? None on my end.
None.
Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as
So moved. Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Do I have another motion to approve the minutes of April 19, 2022, May 3rd special meeting 2022?
So moved.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Moving right along. We'd like to go into the departmental reports. You gonna start us off?
I'll go through the reports, entertain any questions you may have, and go through some of the highlights that the department has encountered over the last month. First, I'd like to start off by stating that the chief and I are in the process of preparing to pursue the MACP accreditation program through the state of Michigan. This is going to entail developing a team to work with us to review the policies. Under Chief Porcerelli, we established more than 120 policies. We're going to read those and go through the process with MACP to determine the best practices. A couple things that we have to take into consideration is that there's going to be training involved. Doug and I went to the MACP training. It's a half a day in Okemos. We'll send a couple of the guys to that. It's relatively inexpensive, $25 a person. We have to worry about budgeting. It's for a department our size. It's $1,700 to go through this, and then there's an annual fee of $700. So we'll come up with the funds for that.
Per person or for the organization?
For the department as a whole. The best things with the accreditation program is that it, like I mentioned, the best practices for policies and procedures. It will instill some public, and we realize that with law enforcement today that this is something that's going to be required of us. Right now it's voluntary, but it's going to be something that we believe is going to be in every law enforcement department in our country. So we want to get ahead of it, pick up where Chief Porcerelli left off, and make us better. An email from Officer Counts, one of our field training officers. Officer Luis Hurtado has passed his first stage of the program. He went through 30 days, demonstrated some good decision-making skills, and enthusiasm to our department that maybe wakes us older guys up in the morning. We come in at 6:30 with his bright hellos, and he's a breath of fresh air for us. He's going to start on the road by himself tomorrow, working a 16-hour shift, 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 7 o'clock the following morning. So that's his indoctrination to himself and Grozio. We'll see how he does with that. We do have to keep in mind that he's going to be on probation for 11 months. So we think he's going to bring good things for us. In regards to the Detective Bureau, one of the bureaus that I oversee, and we took in 25 complaints during the month of April. Several of those returned to Detective Bureau for follow-up. A few of the highlights includes an OWI involving drugs, domestic violence case, and an identity theft case. They reported that they did returns from the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. They closed out some of the cases from the prior month, expeditiously going through their case files and closure to a majority of them. Our special informs our special tactic teams, SWAT and the crisis negotiation team, were active 3 times in the month of April. Once was for an active shooter, once for a barricaded gunman in the city of Lincoln Park, and then once to assist some downriver some high-risk search warrants. So they were quite active. It just seems that our teams have been activated more often lately. It's unfortunately a sign of the times to come. I'd like to recognize that this is National Police Week, recognizing the officers that have fallen duty. To date, we have lost 106. Last year, it was over 800. So we're on a better pace, but it's still 106 too many. That runs through Sunday. Chief and I would like to thank Bridget Hurst Marine, in our DPS for pulling a rather large river for us. It was floating down the river, got stuck, and then she was free to even recover it for us, which makes our waterways safer. We would hate for any type of boat. It was a very large tractor tire. Last thing that I have to report is the Click It or Ticket campaign started on Monday. We residents to always buckle up, and especially putting their youngsters in a child restraint, a car seat or a booster. $65 if you don't do it. Not to mention the potential of an injury or fatality increases dramatically when you're not buckling. Do you have any questions about the contents of the monthly report or anything that we've covered tonight?
Do you have any questions?
None.
Okay, Chief is going to come up and do, I did that.
So this is just a brief overview of the first 30 days of this. So I'm just going to go over the budget real quick. I'll have a seat. Captain Price and the Reserve report. And I'll come back up for some of the action items that we want to try to get through, ladies and gentlemen. Only things I highlighted on here is you can see on the oil, we're at 10%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I think we all know prices have gone up pretty high. So that's going to be something we're watching. If the gas prices don't go down, that's going to be a problem. We're going to go over budget on the gas prices. We couldn't have forecasted this much going up at that time. And then the equipment, this kind of goes on with the gas. Equipment for vehicles and equipment purchases. If anybody owns Amazon, you can see everything's gone up in price. We don't shop at Amazon, but this for the police equipment. But they've raised our vendors have raised their prices for their man hours when they put the cars back together. We did order a vehicle. The last vehicle we had was about $50,000 to $55,000. All the police equipment for a Ford Explorer, we're seeing about maybe the same or maybe more. So because the prices have gone up. I talked to our vendors today, and they said that they have prices, and there's about a 3 to 4 month delay in getting parts for cars. Load a car. The overall budget for the first 30 days, we're at 5%. So we're doing pretty good on that overall. Myself and Deputy Chief Pellin and with Jessica also, we're trying as we can on the budget. We know forfeiture is a little slim, so we're trying to cut our expenses. Any questions on the budget?
No.
It's the first 30 days, so. Uta?
It's a small question actually, and I haven't asked for it, but like you said, the gas and oil prices might present a long-term issue. Are there any opportunities for savings that you have through mutual aid, or like the fire department did with, all the units collectively ordering air tanks? They got some savings. Do the police units have kind of buying power?
We share our fuel with the fire department, so we if I can call it that, we do. It is tax exempt, the fuel, so we pay the same amount as you pay like at the gas stations on the street. And then there's other that goes into patrolling the neighborhoods, and we're not there yet. So we're in emergency mode. Just something to think about, but we do have the budget for it. So
Thank you.
something to be aware of. The prices of gas they're supposed to be going down, but they're up. So any other questions on the budget?
No, sir.
All right, Captain Price.
Good evening. So for April 2022 reserve report, cadet hours. The reserve hours were 44 hours for the month of April. And cadet hours, there was 0 hours for the cadets for April. We did not have any events, so the hours that were allocated on road patrol for our monthly duty doing that. We have upcoming events. One thing that's listed on here is the May 11th Bike to School, which is already passed, which was standing outcome of over 2,000 bikers. So that's between each elementary school. So we made sure that they got to and from school safely. Kind of want to give a recognition to Officer Counts for helping us out on Meridian with the in out near the school, so he was able to create a makeshift and assist us with that. So thank you to him for that. We do have quite a bit of details coming up that's going to be producing, obviously, steps for us. Memorial Day there will be a 5K run on the 30th, so we will have that. We will also have a class of 2022 graduation for Grosedale High School, so we will be helping with a traffic duty for that. Behind that we have June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Obviously the Island Fest will be taking part on the island. So we'll be assisting with obviously the crowd control, the fireworks, and the parade. And for the Island Fest for fireworks, we will be having Woodhaven Police Reserves come in to assist with us on that, so that way we can make sure that it gets off island safely and folks get home safely. On June 11th, the Grosedale High School Girl Up Club will be establishing a run in support of women gender for support of the Ukraine. So we'll be assisting with traffic for those on with that. And stretching into July 29th, there's going to be a 4-vehicle car cruise around the island, which would last potentially for about an hour, and we'll do a traffic detail to make sure that they're going around safely. So that's a couple of events we obviously have coming up, and then upcoming training into June 1st. We'll be at the station that we'll all be attending to be able to take our. So we'll be attending that to get that. And then coming up this Sunday, we'll be attending for our range qualification. So with that, that's pretty much conclude I have for my report. If you guys have any questions.
Eric? Jeff? Uta?
Okay, thank you very much.
Hold on. One, I'd like to take this opportunity, Uta, to reinforce the fact that we have a very effective and professional reserve unit, and they provide valuable community and assistance to the department. So take every opportunity we can to plug them, because it's easy to forget they're there. But you go to any of these big issues, the Island Fest and graduations, those officers you're seeing quite frequently, mostly are reserves that are filling in for that.
I've even seen them out when wires are down, off streets and things like that. I'm very aware of all the work that you do and contribute. So it's very nice, though, to have this opportunity to bring that out again.
For your support when things come up, and when questions are, have them, what do they do? They're very valuable. Thank you, Captain Price. All right, next on the agenda is the Liaison report. Just make a couple prefatory comments, and you can add whatever you'd like to it. Mike Jarecki, after his service on the commission and on the township board, resignation at the last township board meeting. And means we have a hole on our commission, which Uta has volunteered, or maybe arm twisted, but to then, until the township runs through its process of interviewing and whatever it takes to Mike on the township board, and then soon the board will discuss, probably with us, who the replacement of the permanent replacement for the police commission liaison will be. So that's the situation. Jim Budney feels they're going to try and expedite it, so I'm not sure how long they'll be helping us, but it'll at least be a month, maybe 2.
Probably longer than you want, but no. I think Mike sent his version by email on Tuesday afternoon, and believe I got the assignment because I was the only one who didn't ask for. So Jim called me up and said, "Would you be willing to do it?" I don't where I am the liaison to the fire commission, and I'm very excited to kind of be here because I know your department and the department together make up our community safety force, and we rely on both teams to work together because we are both so small. And so I'm hoping moving forward we can have a relationship between the police commission, the fire commission, and that the liaisons can work, that the chairs can work together, because I think there are a lot of ways that we can support each other, because we're both facing some hard economic times. Our budgets are affected by COVID, by healthcare costs, raised up by COVID. I see the liaison role as a fairly basic role, in that, yes, I sit on and share a vote with the commissioners, but my main purpose is information back and forth between the commission and the township, to work with the commission and the department to make sure that the communication are open. And to that end, as you know, I do work full time, but I try to make myself as available as I can. Have anything that you want me to take to the board or share with the board, please, reach out. We have 45 days, according to state law, to appoint a replacement trustee. To that end, Supervisor Budney has put an ad into the community seeking candidates for the open trustee position. And based on how many apps we get, who applies, etc., the board will then make a decision. It is not to say that the new trustee will be the liaison to the police commission. I think just his intention is that we'll wait until we have a full board or attempting any kind of reassignments of lead positions. So as of that, everything that I know. Something else, I really don't know beyond that. So that said, that's my report.
Well, we appreciate the update. Thank you. Anything else, Doug, on the departmental reports? Your report?
Just going to give an update on the dispatcher clerk during the action.
We'll get to that. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I think we have a special presentation coming up. Is this when you want to do it, Doug?
Hey everybody, Detective Peter Darsnick with the Grosse Police Department, obviously. Here to talk a little bit about the deer call. Thank you for giving me to come out tonight and speak about it a little bit. Hopefully I can answer some questions and give you an idea on some of the progress that we've done over the last couple of years regarding the deer call and what we plan in the future. So, first, a little bit of history on kind of how we got here a little bit. First and foremost, our own is safety when we're doing the deer call. In 2020, the township wanted to move to utilizing gross seal officers, sworn officers, to do the deer call along with Michigan State police officer as well. So we've been utilizing 4 officers to do the call, 2 of which have been volunteers. I want to talk to you about each one of them because this work is a grind, and you'll see the work that we have done over the last couple of years on how much work this really is. It's physically, it's dirty, messy, and everything else. So Chief Warnick and both helped us out in the beginning. They were volunteering a lot of their time helping us do this. Sergeant Kevin Doyle with the Michigan State Police volunteers his time, come in after a 12-hour day, help us. He'll come in on his days off. He is probably one of the most phenomenal shots I think I've ever seen. He brings a lot of expertise to the program, as also his dedication as well. It's just been great having him on part of that team. So again, with him being on there as a volunteer, that helps out a lot. Officer John Canterbury with the Grosse Police. He's one of our newer, but he's been a lifelong hunter. He's been very dedicated this year, helping us out a ton. So his hard work, his dedication has been great this year. Hopefully when I'm long gone, he's the one that can take over the whole program and he can run it himself. So hopefully we'll leave him in a good spot for that and he can do better than whatever we ever did. And then lastly, Detective Fosk is my partner. He's been my right-hand man in doing a lot of this stuff. He takes care of a lot of those lists that I might not think of sometimes, but his hard work and his vision, again, has just been great when dealing with this program. A lot of you already know that he was, before Grosse Seal, he worked at Detroit Police. He was on their SRT team. He was a sniper. He was a sniper instructor, or firearms instructors at Grosse Seal. So when we talk about safety, I think we put together the best people with the best expertise when we're dealing with firearms and doing this program. So, I think I'm very proud that we have that good group of people with now. And again, each officer, so like I said, this is hard work. I just managed those guys real quick. Each officer is responsible for shooting and dragging and field dressing. After field dressing over 200 deer, it gets a little old, but everyone is for getting into it and doing it. And then we've been following this since from the DNR. So each deer that we do take, it gets a tag. We document when, where, who shot it. We do all those things. I compile all that data at the end of the year, and I send it out to the DNR for a final, so that they have all their information, and then everything that we've taken has all matched up with all the tags. We've been targeting the females, and I figured out this program it would take about 3 to 5 years to get the herd under control, and we're at the 3-year mark right now, and I think we're to that maintaining level right now. So it's we're there. 2020 when we started, we were unable to do an aerial count that year. We had the helicopter lined up. The weather was just never cooperated with us. We couldn't get up. But we were able to harvest 110 deer that year, and we estimated the population to be about 400 to 500 deer, and that was just a pure guess. That we were seeing out in the field and what we thought might be out there. So that's kind of what made it at that time. All the deer that year was turned over to City Lights Food Pantry. Our total cost that year was about a little over $16,000 to do the deer call. And I'll show you those a little bit later on. 110 deer for a little over $16,000. We've been really watching on and trying to manage that cost as well. 2021 stats, this was our big year. We'll do an aerial count. Mike Jarecki and I were able to get up in the helicopter, spend about 2 hours up there and do a count. We were able to estimate there was about 400 deer. And that was already after we had harvested 157 deer. So prior to the aerial count, had 550 plus deer. After the count, we were able another 43, which got us down to around 357. And then the total number it took for the first part of the deer call was 200. Then we did a September call, and we were able to harvest 95. So that gave us for 2021 a total of 275 deer. That was a lot of work. The September deer call was it was in 80 to 90 degree weather. We had to rent a freezer. It was very we had to act quickly after we did take a deer, get it cleaned out, freezer so it would cool off. So it was a lot of work there. So we estimated we were at around 282 deer, getting that number down. That year we also partnered with Michigan Sportsmans Against Hunger. I'll talk about them a little bit later. They've been an absolute awesome program for us to get involved with, and you'll see why here in a minute. So we were able to donate 9,975 pounds of venison to food banks, shelter, and that total cost for all that processing was a little over $17,000. That was all paid for by Michigan Sportsmen Against Hunger. So that's a cost that we didn't have to count. And again, I'll talk about them in a little bit. So our cost for that year was a little over $36,000. And
17,000 or?
no, that 17,000 is not part. That's part of they pay. So, and the reason for that, the helicopter wasn't cheap. The flyover, renting a freezer for September was not cheap at all. Just the man hours, I think we had 500 man, and just culling 275 deer. So things that just added up throughout the year. We had ammunition went through the roof as far as price was ridiculous. We were able to procure a little bit more equipment, which helped with the deer call as well. So that was 2021. 2022, the year that we just wrapped up, we'll do another aerial count. And we estimate around 300 deer. That we were able to harvest 172, which dropped that number down to 128. So that's what we're estimating right now with 128 deer on the island. Now, they're not giving birth yet, so let's just say half of that number else, and we use like a 1.5 birth rate, which will be up to another 200 to 250 deer by the next deer call, estimating. So we're at that point to where I think we can maintain everything. Total venison that was local food banks that year was 4,520 pounds. Some of the food banks that it was donated to was South Point Church, Gibraltar Food Pantry. Both of them actually letters of appreciation thanking us for the donation. Grace Centers of Hope, Hospitality House, Redford Interfaith. And again, the cost of that processing was a little over $7,000, again, paid for by Michigan Sportsmen Against. And we spent a little over $20,000 to do 172. Other municipality calls, you can see here in 2019, Muskegon did 50 deer for $50,000. They did it again in 2020, 30,000. You know, Ann Arbor's the big one, 150 deer for $150,000. We just did 172 deer for a little less than $20,000. So I think that with this put together and the things that we have done, I think we've gotten to get a real good program together.
You know, Rochester Hills, they were doing
They did. There's a lot of the whole state that do
Theirs was
deer
expensive.
calls, and it probably was. I don't know what there's, but there's a lot of places that do deer calls, and they're not. I don't think they're quite as efficient as ours, not to toot our own horn, but yeah, it's there.
Talk about that in a minute. Continue.
So that's just some other communities that do deer calls. Deer track. I had Officer Secretaris put a little deer traffic study together for me. Back in the 19, we did not do the deer call, so we had 37 car deer cracker. In 2020, it dropped down to 24, and in 2021, oddly enough, it went up a few. It went up 3. But the only thing I can attribute to is the bridge was closed, so there was just that much more traffic going up and down Meridian, and that's a few more. And then this year, we're at 5. So we're 50% less than what was time last year. So I'm hoping that that number will be a lot lower by the end of the year. In November, October, those are a lot of the busier months of March, and the deer start moving around a lot more. So good to see the tracks look like they're going down, so it looks like what we're doing is actually helping. So Officer Secretaris for putting that together. We were trying to compile where spots might be. Some of the software that we just switched over to with the accidents doesn't really right now. It will later. But basically, on Meridian Road from Grays Mill, that area, Meridian from Manchester to Grow Road, another hot spot there, and then Brookway from Meridian to East River. So basically the main thoroughfares of the island is where you're really going to see your traffic crashes. So that's where we are right now, year to date, crashes. Michigan Sportsmans again. This is a great program that I'm glad that we've actually got partnered up with. Dean, the director, is an absolute asset and a huge part. I consider a huge part of our team. He will drive down, pick up 20 to 30 deer at a time, bring them to the processor, and then when they're done with it, he'll take the source out downriver, food pantries that might need, and he distributes it to them as well, which saves us a whole ton of time. Again, they pay for a lot of this, all the processing as well. So how they do that, and I don't want to talk too much about it, but when you they have processors throughout the entire state, where if you want to donate a deer, you can go to the website and see where, if you shoot a deer and you're a hunter, you can donate it to one of these processors, donate the entire deer. You can donate a portion of it. So that's how that you can also donate when you buy your hunting or fishing license. I never before until we got involved in this. So when I buy my hunting license, I always just contribute a little bit more, and helps not only with programs like ours and other programs, but it ends up ultimately just helping out other people who really need it at the end of the day. So it's a great program. What they'll do is they'll take that deer and they will turn it into burger, put it into tubes, and then that's how they distribute it out. So it's a great. I'm glad we're there. Thank you, Dean, for helping us with all this stuff, because it's just been huge for him to come down and take these deer off our hands, so we don't have to do. So in conclusion, in the past we've harvested 557 deer while utilizing 4 to 5 off. Again, a few of them have been volunteers. We've been able to donate over 14 pounds of venison to help countless families. Deer car crashes have been reduced. In the past 3 years, we've seen the health of the herd improve. Started, we saw a lot of broken legs, missing legs, injuries, scars, just being hit by cars and still staying alive. We haven't seen any of that. We're also people's landscaping get stuck and intertwined in their hooves, sprinkling systems stuck in there and giving them, foot injuries. So we haven't seen that this year at all. So which is good. And the deer this year have been healthy, no issues there either. So hopefully the program continue in the next year, where we can only harvest 50 to 75 to 100 and maintain maybe a herd between 80 and 130 on the island. Now, not a set number that can adjust and go up and down however we really want it to do. We're at that point to where we can maintain it. And the DNR has been great working with us, where if we tags, we ask them and they send us more tags. If we need more time and extend it out, another month. The thing that we battle with that's the hardest is if it gets warm out. That's the enemy right now when it comes to that. So I like to think that we've proven our methods. That's when we're reducing the herd and keeping our costs down to a minimum when it comes to doing the deer cull. Again, I want to thank everybody who's been a part of this. It's been a lot of work, and hope to continue to do that. And thank you for the commission's support as well on all this stuff as well. I'm sure you have questions.
Hopefully harvesting between 50 and 100 next year. We're still going to try and go for 200 permits, right? Thereabouts.
And again, I think I think this year will be a good year to test to see what's really sustainable and
Right.
what's really good. I mean, if our traffic crashes are down, this is a number that we really want to stay at. And if we don't have to harvest 200 deer, that'll be just fine with me. We can do 150, but however we want to do that. And we sometimes can gauge that one. Sometimes we get a better feeling on there's a lot more or less, and the aerial count is the big thing too.
Yeah, it's the area that we have to go by.
Yep.
That
So-
tells us whether we're making it, because
Yep.
obviously this is the 3 years that you guys have been running
Yep.
the program. But, you know, the deer cull has been going on, Joey, for 10
Yeah.
years? 13. You know, Joey and the crew started it then.
Yep.
And,
And we've learned a lot from what they have done. When Chief
well, no,
Barron
the
and Sergeant, we've gotten a lot of information from them as well. And
big
Chief
thing
Force
that
World
we
as well,
learned
too.
from that was, and the DNR didn't want to give us over 100, or no 100 permits. And as you saw from your earlier numbers, 90 to 100, we were at like 500 the first year we did it with the aerial count. Did with the restricted permits was
Prolonged it,
we just
yep.
kept even barely. Was there anything you wanted to add? Because I'm sure that the community and Uta and everybody, and even many of the guys up here,
Yeah.
that you know, this has been going on 13, and what we had to put a little more pressure on it, and
Yes.
by pressurized them by getting the 200 permits, which gave us a chance to start knocking the total number down. Did you want to add some of that?
Yeah, no.
First off, one is a thank you. You're exactly correct what we did back then. They actually rationed
Yeah.
and they wouldn't give more than 50 at a time. And then after 100, they would stop me. But we kept knocking it down. These guys done a great job. I can imagine just the physical labor and intensive that it takes to do this many. I mean, it really is. I mean, there's people that go deer hunting that don't want, after one or two, they're done. But anyway, I just want to say, as a township trustee, thank you. And then we're getting a handle. We obviously had to do it like this now. I mean, unfortunately, we missed that one. And that really, once you miss this program in a year, it just,
Lost everything.
it goes
we
up
gained.
exponentially. It's not just a few more that next year. These guys have done a great job. I just want to say thank you and the rest of the gentlemen that were helping. But one I did miss, and I apologize, so I can ask you now. Not counting the possibility after obviously March and April of having babies, but culling was done in the wintertime. What was the approximate amount we had on Groseal? Start the next one.
This year?
Yeah.
128.
Okay.
So when we give that birth rate of 1.5,
So what- is that what it is? Yeah.
and half of those are females, they're going to be up to the 200 and 250 range again come next year.
So around one after
Yes.
that. That's just where I
Yeah.
wanted to make some
Roughly.
notes. But
Estimates only.
thanks to all of them, it is. I mean, the people at Groseal, what's huge is the accident rate too. I mean, if the accident rate can come down with it, I mean, it's worth it. Obviously, there's property damage, so many people complain about, and property damage is important to people because it costs them money. But without accidents and injuries and things that can occur like that, I mean, that's a win-win. If you can get that down, then you've done it. Then you've done it. But thank you and the
Thank
rest
you,
of the
Chief.
guys.
Yep, thanks.
Okay, anyone else from here have any questions of?
I do. Pete and Chief, if you don't mind, possibly gearing this presentation to actually give at a town meeting, maybe the first meeting in June. Just again for the broad public, the people who aren't watching this meeting, and possibly even putting together for, the Eel Beacon, Island Beacon, or the Grand, just a small synopsis. I was at West Cross Garden Center over the weekend, and Erica and I were talking about, because we live on Island Boulevard, lots and lots of deer come through our yards in particular. They were part of a deer run. And we've just really noticed a reduction. It wasn't unusual for us to have 10 or 15 deer in our backyard. Now, it's really reduced. We've noticed that.
And that's good input for us to hear too, that people are seeing that they are getting reduced and they have as many. And our goal is not to eliminate all the deer on the island.
Right.
I live here too, and I love seeing them walk through my backyard as well. So that's not the goal here. It's just to maintain them. They'll be healthier, and then it'll be good for everybody. So hopefully we can keep this up.
The balance.
Yep. And that's all it is, just a balance.
But it's something I know residents are always interested about, and
They
so
are.
if you don't mind doing that, if Chief doesn't
I'll
have
talk
a
with
problem, I'd love to invite you to do that.
And while they were out there, any idea at all on how the coyotes are doing?
Saw one coyote. That's all that we.
A whole bunch, but they seem to have gone quiet.
Yeah. So we have not seen hardly any coyotes at all. Just the one that we really saw. So that's it. But they're there.
Yes?
Nope.
No. No, sir.
All right. Well, thanks again for all your
Thank you.
support.
It was a very good report. Doug, would you take us through the action items?
One action items. I just wanted to give an update on the hiring for the clerk dispatcher under department update. Item number 2 added to it. The last board meeting to approve on a consent agenda the hiring of Lane, our next dispatcher. She signed her conditional offer, and we're just waiting for the 2 last tests she has to do. And we have a scheduled start date of next week, but wait for the test to come back. So, all right, that's just an update on that.
Bring us to full complement there.
That'll put us at for
dispatch.
yeah, records and dispatch. Absolutely. Yep. Any questions on that? Then action items.
Sure.
All right, one is Officer Ferguson has made it very clear in writing. He wrote budget manager a letter saying he fully intends to retire this October. And we do have one more person on our eligibility list from last summer. I spoke to him last week. He's still interested. He has been applying for other departments. He waited several months. But I know he does stated his intent as he wants to come here. He's said that to me several times. So I'm asking for, he's done his the background investigation and what would be next for him, the step approval tonight to move forward for a board approval to hire, to get a conditional offer, and then have to do a psych and medical exams. And then his background done a while ago, we're probably just going to do a little bit of an to check up on his background. Else has changed since we did it last time. So I'm asking for the commission approval for hire Officer Ferguson's replacement off of the eligibility to be our last person on the list. So, but I can give you a little background about the officer if you guys would like. Okay, if you guys remember. So we interviewed him at the end of last summer. His name's Tyler Blackman. He lives downriver. A Detroit police officer for 5 years. That's where he's currently working. we interviewed him. We really liked him. He has contacts within the departments. We were able to know the people that know him, and we all liked him. And it's been a long time since his interview, but he's the third and last person on the eligibility list. No one else made the cut. So.
I assume we'll get the information before he makes a motion, or do you want to wait for someone to make a motion and then
Which information?
to ask, because we talked about this before the meeting, just to underscore for that, the budgetary concerns have been dealt with, that, we're two officers,
Well, just to be
concurrent.
official, I'd like to get a motion.
Yes, I
For
move
Okay,
that,
so then let's
yep.
do that.
Okay.
right, I move that we, approve to hire Officer Ferguson's replacement off the eligibility list.
All in favor? Oh, wait, no.
No, we have discussion.
Discussion.
Almost got us
Go,
going
yeah, I
there,
know, you
too.
got me.
So again, take this to the board meeting on Monday. It's already, got a placeholder under. Chief Carmack helped me find it, in there. So my first question to him, of course, is, we've been taking a beating from some members of the public about, ours of the department, our budget, and not, having 24 contingent, and for the next few months, if we go ahead, we'll have the 24. I want to make sure, as you've already, that the budgetary concerns are handled and that, we can move forward and make this happen.
We've met with some of the commissioner, board member, and then the finance director and the manager, and they've assured me that we are able to facilitate this hire. And then so we're hiring. That'll put us at 24 officers. And then for Officer Ferguson will retire in October, and then about 23.
And as you pointed out to me, that gives us a chance to have an officer ready to go before another officer retires. And so I think that's very prudent. And
Traditionally, not always, but sometimes we've waited or dispatcher to retire and then start the process, which manpower and ability to send people to training causes overtime, causes to try and be more proactive. And then we're also going to ask for the the eligibility for a new list, start a new list. Not the hire per se, but to have an
Talk
established.
about that right
Yep.
after this.
Yep.
Do you have anything else, Uta? Anyone else have any questions?
No, I think this is the right move, getting ahead of the game here. We know what's coming down the pipeline, so let's get
Side
them
note,
trained and make sure we don't lose this candidate.
A side note that myself and the have been researching, there's a shortage of police officers. The last academy class that we looked into, they had 55 applicants in the class. All of them were sponsored by other police departments, which is rare, but now there's a need. Of those remaining 7, 5 are already spoken for. So there's only 2 left in that whole for new applicants. It's a lot of departments are becoming very competitive to get police officers. You got one you like. Not trying to push your guys' decision, but it's kind of a buyer's market for the applicants versus the departments these days. So they can pick and choose. So something to think of.
Jessica, you've got the language for the motion. So, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
And aye. Thank you very much, Doug.
You and
Second action item was you're looking for approval from us to establish a new officer eligibility list.
correct.
Means you're requesting approval to go out, advertise, solicit resumes, do some interviewing, and hopefully establish
A list. Correct.
like we just have, which has functioned very well for us.
Correct.
Can I have a motion to do just that?
So moved.
All right, Jessica, you can sort it out.
very eloquent.
Scott or Eric? Any discussion on the eligibility list? I think you've explained it.
The
So-
process it takes to go through it, so that's why we want to get started now.
Yeah. No, we agree with you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
All I have for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank
Any
you.
questions of us?
No, not now. We'll think about them.
Thank you.
All right, we're at the public section. I see we have two public commenters, possibly. Just Joey.
Good evening, Charlie. I just wanted to come tonight and let you know that I've requested also on the police commission, and I fully agree with Uta there when she said the position should be a conduit from the commission to the township board. But I also feel if you have an individual that can provide value to the police department, you as and a commission, and to the management team, I think it could be helpful. I left department. I made it a priority to stay away from the police department. A must. When I became a township board member, it was, you can't ask to be on. I think it's important that you let them do what they have to do. And if they want to call you and ask you, whatever, I mean, you know, but I just think it's important to walk away from it. After 3.5 years, it's important that if you have someone that can add value, I think it could be in the citizens, the township, and to the police department. And I spoke with these two gentlemen, and I'm going to that it was quite humbling when both of them, I spoke to them separately, and they say, you know, one of my main goals, Joe, is that I want to make this police department like it used to. And both of them at separate times said that to me. And that's when I knew what's inside of them. I know what's in their heart. I've watched them grow. I know what their vision is. And I know Todd's not here, but I want to speak for Todd too. I know these three gentlemen make a big turnaround in this police department. This place is moving in the correct direction already. I'm going to say that I have the vision that's going to occur. It's already has occurred. And I've already watched them. I see what they're doing. They're already moving it forward. They're not moving it, they're moving it forward. So if I'm requesting to be put on there, as Uta stated, it'd be maybe a couple months or so. He'll decide of who, you know, it might be a few months. But I just wanted that I am interested. I think it'd be an honor to sit on this commission, and I'm proud of what I see. I've watched it already. And if they needed something very helpful, you know what's kind of I guess the word, for lack of a better term, a delight is that they're going to look at the accreditation program in 2 months to rewrite 126 policies. I mean, you know, after I left, you can't ignore we saw what happened, and Doug and Ken are going to take that back up and look at, you know, what it can do. And that is actually the most prestigious, I don't want to say award, but what you can do for a police department in the state or in the country is to get accredited. I mean, it helps you with litigation, helps you, believe it or not, in our risk management, in our liability insurance. After you get some kind of break, I'm not sure how much it is, but there are advantages. You make things constitutionally sound, which I hope I already did by rewriting all the policies. I have to move forward with the accounting and everything else, if that's the route they want to go. But I'm seeing from them so many things that I'm just, I have to be honest to see. But I just feel if I sat there with you gentlemen, and if they needed something, great, I'm there. If they don't need anything, even better. That means they're learning on their own. I mean, you just have done, I think, a remarkable job in the budget and overseeing the police department. The hirings, we saw what we went through the last few years. I think you've done an excellent job. But I'm just coming up tonight to say that I was interested, and I would like to be a part of the commission. So, but I do want to thank these two gentlemen, and thank Todd for me too. I'm very proud of seeing where they're going, what they're doing, capable of. It really is feeling inside. That's all I can say. So All right, thank you.
Well, just one second. As you heard Uta describe a little earlier, I mean, the process, there's a process going to be gone through. And they've decided, which is probably not the wrong way to do it, to make sure that their new township board or trustee appointed, and then look at probably not just our commission, all the commissions possibly. So I'm sure many of us may be in discussions, but I would like to say that I know myself and the rest of the commission appreciated the help over the last year, especially going through all the acting guys. That I know you got yourself involved in some of those things, and now that we're sort of I appreciate the help you gave us.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Anyone else? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, having no looks to comment. You don't want to say anything, Kev?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So at 8:02 by the clock on the wall.